Protesters fill the hallways of the Toronto District School Board ahead of tonight's big budget meeting that has garnered criticism from some teachers, parents and advocates who urge the school board not to balance the budget. That will see some staff and student programs affected and in some cases eliminated. But the TDSB says it has no choice and that provincial cuts have resulted in a $67 million shortcut. So lots of emotion here at headquarters. Good evening. They called it difficult and unprecedented for some trustees who tonight voted on the fate of your children's education. Now, by law, school boards are required to pass a balanced budget by June 30th. These folks here, who, by the way, are still meeting at this hour, they just that 18-4. The TDSB said it came with much difficulty. The school board says it made cuts in 22 different departments to avoid significant impacts to one area alone. The school board has proposed cutting the necessary $46.8 million in the next school year. We counted at least 596 positions that over the next few years that have been flagged, more than half of which are lunchroom supervisors. Other positions mentioned include facility staff, centrally assigned principals, early year staff, social workers, therapists, and child and youth counselors. There will also be reductions in the arts, health, phys ed, and a 24% budget reduction has been proposed for itinerant music instructors. School budgets will be reduced by 5%, and TDSB programs will be impacted, including social services, outdoor education, international languages, and French immersion, just to name a few.
Cutting that much staff, cutting social workers, cutting guidance counselors, having very few caring adults, and the ones who are there being so overworked that they will not have time to help the students who we know are having these crises is, to me, just unconscionable.
You need to do a risk assessment on the impact on student safety of these supervision cuts, and then pass it with confidence. If you need more money, go to the province. That's your fiduciary duty as a trustee of the board.
We're talking about 10 psychology members and 4 social workers and 3 speech language pathologists and a bunch of child and youth care practitioners that have received layoff notices or surplus letters, and it's our position that the board should not be looking at these positions to cut those.
Now, the board doesn't discount these concerns. It has a budget of about $3 billion and says it has spent 2 months working towards this proposal. The board says it will also review some services and departments, and if it can't get provincial funding, that may also result in some program closures. The province had long maintained that these cuts are a small percentage of the board's budget. The TDSB disagrees, saying these cuts were impactful.
It should be noted that the final budget reductions will have less of an impact on programs and services for students and support staff because there is a significant budget reduction, almost $17 million, to the board's central administration, senior team, and centrally assigned staff.
Robin, you addressed it a little bit, but I do have to ask because many were calling for all of you guys not to balance this budget. How do you respond to that?
I think Trustee Story actually, when she spoke, put it the best, that to let the province do this would be to send a wrecking ball through the TDSB. We have excellent programs at the TDSB. They've been set up for our communities for many years. They are established to meet our priorities, our multi-year strategic plan, and there would be no guarantee that the province would do any of those things.
Now, this meeting started at 7, and they're still in this meeting working some things out, and there's still some kinks to work out, and some of these details will be finalized in the future. As I mentioned, 596 positions, by the way. It's that I counted from this documentation, but the school board says they still have more work that needs to be done to identify and get a final number as to how many positions and how many staff will be cut through bumping, through attrition, and through retirement to ensure that there's minimal impact. And so the school board says it has had about 20 meetings and about 100 discussions coming here, people talking about these concerns before they came up with this proposal.